Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the pod. My name is Heather, and who are you?
Happy Eclipse Day, everybody.
Man, I'm ready.
I am too.
I found a pair of glasses from our Easter event left over.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
official glasses on.
Sam is wearing the official glasses and literally can't see anything.
Yeah, it's something I learned this morning. Eclipse glasses are not the same as sunglasses.
Correct.
We're learning a lot about the eclipse
We
today.
are. Something I learned this morning, apparently I don't understand time and
Doug,
when things
we've-
happen.
We've also learned that you should not wear glasses like that
no, these
post
are-
40.
Yeah,
These are horrible
You're
for
gonna
my
be
eyes.
messed up.
Yeah.
But
The weird thing is like your eyes are trying to focus on the lines, and
yeah.
these
Sam,
are not helpful glasses.
We've decided
The-
that Sam looks like he's Biff from Back to the Future,
friend.
one of
Yeah.
his friends,
Yeah.
the guy that wears the
Which,
3D
if
glasses
you're just
all the
listening
time.
on Spotify or Apple, this
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to
You
you.
need to go watch
Which is why you
YouTube
should watch on
today.
YouTube.
Yeah.
We are not experts. I can't do it. We are not experts on the eclipse.
Yeah.
We should say that
Shocking.
first.
Please don't follow our
I'm
advice.
sure our audience is completely blown away with the
And-
fact that the three of us
Yeah.
Yeah,
are
no
not
idea.
experts
And
on
honestly,
the eclipse.
like, there are a lot of resources. We could figure out a lot of things, but we're just going to figure out together here.
Yeah, no, that's the best way
We
to
don't
figure
need to
out
look
something
up
that could be
anything,
very
anything like
dangerous.
that.
all
so-
right, so the two of you were just in a
Heated
Yeah.
discussion.
pre-show conversation.
And we won't have an answer to this, but you can talk about this in your car or whoever you're listening with, or if you're just in your
Watching.
brain or thinking and watching. So we're trying to figure out that today, Monday, April 8th, the total eclipse,
Of the heart.
which I believe, again, we're not experts, but I think I saw this. A total eclipse has not happened since
And-
I think 1979-ish.
Okay, and where did you see this? At the source
It was
for all
no,
of your news?
it was a TikTok video.
I
right?
was at the dentist and I was watching, it was like Good Morning America or something because
yeah,
there's
no,
nothing else to do.
that's good.
And the guy was in a city in Texas that is going to receive 100% total eclipse.
Okay.
And they had a newspaper from that same city because I guess they are on the line of how this whole thing works, science. Where it was 1979 the last time this happened.
Okay.
I think that was last week, early in the week. Then I got all numbed up, so I don't know. A lot of things could have happened.
Oh, yeah.
I got so numbed up at the dentist, my eyeball was numb.
Oh,
My
that's not
right
good.
eyeball. I've
Yeah,
never had
'cause
that.
then you can't
ever.
avoid the eclipse.
I didn't know if I was blinking or not. So, anyways, we're trying to figure out if today at 3:20 in Chesapeake, Suffolk, Virginia, is it the same time in Australia? Like, will Australia receive the eclipse at the same time that we're receiving the
No.
eclipse? No, I agree.
Yeah,
No.
no. Yeah.
Doug was now he's
No.
he's gonna make okay.
Because I'm trying to visualize
you're
it
doing
not
here.
from just like a time point, but like an actual like geometric understanding. Like when the Earth is here, the moon is here, and the sun is here. So
Correct.
what's happening as the Earth rotates? So the moon's following the rotation of the Earth, so that it's completely blocking out the sun, I guess.
Yeah.
So I just need to see
So,
like that.
I think Australia's already been through the eclipse today.
Cool.
That's what I think.
Oh,
Now you just
No,
don't care?
no, 'cause I'm trying to
once
visualize
the cameras
it.
come on, you just don't
Oh,
care.
yeah,
You're
I'm
just like,
highly
oh,
nervous right
Now
now.
he's
why are we
nervous.
talking about
Yeah, I'm
this?
shaking from my lack of eclipse knowledge.
You've never been on.
No, I am going to do a deep dive today to try to find the
Yeah, the right answer to that.
the mathematics of it all.
Joey and Lauren and Megan are planning a eclipse party, right?
Yeah, but
Do we know what's going on for this party?
They said they were going to bring foods that were round, like a pizza
Oh my gosh.
or moon pies.
Okay.
Things
Moon
that
pies
have
would be
something to
great.
do with like
Okay.
the universe and the cosmos and all that.
yeah, Joey also brought 3 cereal boxes, but has no clue what he's supposed to do with them.
Yeah. I never
What?
understood
Just
that
random
either.
cereal boxes?
Well, there's something with cereal boxes, but you have to put something else in this. Like you cut out like the eyes, so you like watch it.
No. So
What?
the cereal
Yeah.
box viewer is like a way of allowing the sun to shine through like a hole in the cereal box. So you look at the box on the ground. You never look at the sun. And
Whoa.
the light shines through the box and you look at what's happening on the box.
Okay, I thought, wow, we are all over the place.
Oh my.
I thought you have to put like a mirror or something in the cereal box, and it's like you watch the mirror, so it's the reflect. You're not looking directly
I
at
don't think
the-
you're supposed to do anything with
You're-
the mirror in the sun.
I'm
No,
looking-
that
I'm looking
might
right
be
at it
worse because then you're like
YOLO.
the power of the sun, and you're actually putting like a
you're
magnifying glass to
magnifying
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, don't look at a
We
mirror.
are a mess.
I would like to take it up a
mess.
notch.
Everyone should stop listening to this podcast immediately.
I'm gonna get
Stop
bifocals
right
and
now.
watch the
Who's
sun
with
through
me?
them bad boys.
I'm looking right at it today.
Oh,
No.
don't no one
YOLO.
do that.
Don't you dare.
Nobody do this.
Don't
I
you
think
dare.
if you have blue eyes, you can look directly at
Jeremy,
I have blue eyes.
Jeremy, you need to put
We're
a
lucky.
warning across this
Yeah,
podcast
don't
today.
do anything we're saying.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Jeremy just
What if
said
you just
he's
like look
looking
really
straight
quick?
at
You're
it.
just like this. You're just like
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll be okay.
No.
just every time. That would be good, right?
Yeah, just do it once.
No.
It's like, oh man, I blinked. Oh gosh, I didn't see anything.
Anyways, it's gonna be a great day.
Oh yeah.
The eclipse day.
Eclipse day.
Yeah, we were sitting around the table this morning, and Addie's talking about the eclipse, and I think she knows exactly what the eclipse is. And I said, "Oh, when you get out of school today, it's gonna be pretty dark." She's like, "Why is it gonna be dark?" And I was like,
Are they not talking about this at
and
school?
then I was like, "What? And she was like, "What?" Apparently, she had no idea what the eclipse was. So
oh
I
my
had
gosh,
to.
I remember talking about it at school when
Yeah,
we were
I'm
kids.
sure they
like,
have. She just probably didn't listen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my kids have been like talking about it for the last like pre-spring break. Like
Yeah.
it's coming up
She's
soon.
just
we gotta
mad
get
that
ready.
some schools are out of school today.
What? Schools are out of
Norfolk
school?
schools were canceled today. For
Really?
the eclipse. Safety issues.
Interesting.
Yeah, so somebody
I'm
else,
out of the school loop, so I don't even know what's going on in schools.
somebody shared a stat that during was it you, Jeremy? During
Yeah, I
an
think it was.
eclipse, like I guess accidents are increased by a dramatic amount.
31%, right? Fatal
Yeah.
accidents.
Really?
Yeah, because people are driving
people
and it
are
gets
just
dark like
so-
all of
Yeah.
a sudden.
So listen, guys. We don't know exactly what time this thing's happening. Or we do.
We do actually.
We don't know.
I think we do.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Or we do know. But all I know is just stay off the roads.
Oh,
And
I
don't
thought
look at
you
the
were
sun.
about
all
to
day.
start singing "People Get Ready."
Oh, yeah.
Oh
This
yeah.
is your chance.
That's
Two men walking up a hill. Let's also talk about that. A lot of people think today is the return of Jesus.
Oh, really?
yeah, the end
It's
times.
a big deal, yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, we
think-
know the
I'm
time
really
and place
clueless
now.
about all this, guys.
I think if this would have happened on Easter Day, like Easter Day, Easter
Oh, can you
Sunday, and
imagine?
eclipse happens, it's
Yeah.
like, yep, it's today's the day.
Today's
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah, there's no way, right?
For sure.
And we would have started the service with Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Oh, that'd been so amazing. Best
Upon a
service ever.
time I was falling in love. Oh, man.
No, I'm only falling apart.
Nothing I
I
can
sang
say.
that for karaoke the other day. It was very fun.
Wow, the
Yeah,
other
that's-
day.
Where
That
did
is
you
my-
do? Where's karaoke the other day, Doug?
We
what's
have-
the other day?
We have regular karaoke parties at Rachel's parents' house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that is my song. I sing "Total Eclipse of
Every
the Heart.
time?
Not every time because I don't want to like overdo it.
Okay.
But
So,
if I have a chance, it's
Tell
my
me the
go-to.
date on the calendar that was the other day.
Oh, it was.
that's true.
Man, when was that? It was
not gonna remember.
last week. Was it Easter? Oh yeah, it was.
Oh,
it was Easter
okay.
Sunday. We did
That's
a-
very
Jeremy.
good. I
We
was
did a
thinking
karaoke
that
party.
your other day was
Like
going to
3
be
years
That's a
ago.
couple
like
years ago, yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Oh,
no.
yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, no,
Don't-
this
Yeah.
other day
Bring that
was another day.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Oh no.
We don't talk about Bruno. Okay. What did you guys do this weekend? Anything
Oh, my
fun?
goodness. Go ahead. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
a better one than I do.
So we went to the Richmond Zoo to
Okay.
kind of to close out spring break with
Oh,
the family.
fun.
It was fun.
Which you were saying before, you guys had kind of weird spring break in your house because Rachel works in a different school district than your kids.
Oh, it actually worked out.
It did?
It
Good
did
matchup?
because
Okay, good.
originally there was talk in the office that the different cities were taking different spring breaks.
Yes.
It ended up just working out pretty
Oh,
good. So
that's
It was
great.
really, really fun.
Good.
Yeah. I was
So-
working all week, but the kids had a great time. It was
Good.
amazing.
Is this a new zoo? Because I've never heard of the
Yeah,
Richmond Zoo.
the
Oh, when you
Richmond
said
Zoo?
new zoo, I thought that was one word, new zoo. I was like, I don't know what
Oh,
new
that's
zoo
a
is.
special kind of zoo.
No, a
New
new. It looked like it's been there
zoo.
for a while. The animals look
Okay.
pretty old. So, I mean, not a lot of babies or anything. So, at least a few years.
Oh, man.
Is
But,
the Richmond Zoo a big zoo?
Yeah,
How
it
does
was-
it compare
yeah,
to the Norfolk Zoo?
I liked it better. It seemed more natural.
Did they have actual animals? Because most of the time, Norfolk Zoo has no animals.
No, they had
That's been my
legit animals.
experience.
They had hippos, which I'd never seen before. They had a bunch of giraffes. They had lions and tigers and bears.
Bears?
Oh,
Some of
my.
those in there. No, it's good. Thank you. I didn't want to be the one to say it. So
You
it
had
was,
never seen a hippopotamus?
I
Hippopotamus?
don't think I'd ever seen a hippo before. I remember when I saw it, I was like, "Yeah, that's a hippo."
Wow.
Like I've never seen one up close before.
So you haven't been to a lot of zoos then?
If I have, it was never a moment that like really stuck with me. I don't
Okay.
remember thinking like, oh yeah, that takes me back to my childhood when I saw
Okay.
that hippo when I was 7.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it's the first time for me. Cool.
I'm a big zoo fan.
Oh really?
Honestly. Yeah.
You would like the zoo. Like the animals seem way more interactive than I had ever seen at previous zoos.
They talk to
Okay.
you?
They were like really chatting it
Dude,
up.
you're
and
like
they were-
Dr. Doolittle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What-
I've never seen that movie, but
Were
I
you like,
assume yes.
What?
Yeah, I was like, oh, animals can talk. You guys didn't know this?
Oh my gosh.
No, they were playing and having a
That was
good
your
time.
superpower.
I feel like because sometimes you go to the zoo and the lion is in the far corner of
Yeah.
the exhibit, and you're like, oh, I can kind of see him, and he's just chilling, just not doing anything. These animals were like all over the place. They were fighting and chasing each other, and it's
Okay.
like the rhinos were like legit fighting.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, somebody should stop them, but it's not me. That's not my job.
There's we found it on Netflix, but it ended up being of the Columbus Zoo in Ohio. Kind of a big deal over there. Jack Hanna, ever heard of him?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
No, yes, I have.
It's a zoo, but it's on Netflix. It's a great, and they go behind the scenes of the zoo and show all the different stuff.
Oh,
But
that's
they've
cool.
got like a ton of animals, and our family really enjoys it. So maybe we'll check out the Richmond
Check
Zoo.
out the Richmond Zoo, everybody. It was very fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that all you did?
Yeah, pretty much. The family, they were doing things like all week because they had spring break.
Yeah.
And we wanted to plan like one day that was a good family day. So
Yeah.
that was like an all day experience. It took us like 2 hours to get there. The zoo, we did our thing, and then 2 hours to get home. We went
Yeah.
to Q Daddy's on the way back.
Yes.
Used
Nice.
our
Coupons?
coupons
Oh,
from the
very
Easter
good.
giveaway. So it was
Oops.
very fun. The kids love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got
That's cool.
a brisket sandwich. It was the best brisket I think I've ever
Q
had.
Daddy's is.
I mean, they don't
they're top
disappoint.
notch
Yeah,
around here.
that's
Yeah.
so amazing.
I'm trying to think. So my family was on spring break as well. We had some family come into town for a few days, so they hung out and did their stuff. They did bowling, and I'm not sure what else they did. I ended up buying Mario Kart on the Switch, which I'm still not 100% sure was a good idea or not.
Oh, it was the best idea.
It's a great game, but
Yeah,
that
Mario
game
Kart is very
there's
fun.
only one game that will tear a family apart faster, and that's the Overcooked.
So
Do you know this game?
No.
That game is great too.
Overcooked is like everybody has a responsibility. You're like cartoon characters, but you have to like make different things in a kitchen.
Oh boy.
But you have to like work as a team, and it turns into, and then like the kitchens start like tilting, and then there's like it's a mess, but it turns into a fight. But I found out that one of our piano players, Chloe and Dalton doesn't play, he plays bass. They've beat the whole entire Overcooked game.
Oh wow, that's
Whoa.
really tough.
I was like, you guys are gonna stay married
Yeah.
forever. That's a
It is.
true sign.
It's a game about communication.
Yes.
Because everybody has a role, but then the
Oh.
map changes, so roles are changing. You're
Yep.
like, no, Annabelle, I need you to wash dishes now.
And you have to talk calm like that.
Yeah.
Which would never happen in the Hager
oh
house.
yeah, so it is. It's a very good
Yeah.
game.
But that's what Mario Kart ends up being. And my family won't know. But I have really bad luck in that game. I get hit by every single thing.
yeah,
And I think I'm one of the better racers of the family. But I just can't win because I think everybody else has made secret packs and they go for me.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
well,
And
the way
so
some of the items work, I don't.
You got a phone call?
second.
No, go ahead. Yeah, whatever. Whenever you're ready.
That's my sister.
Okay.
She always calls it the worst possible time. She doesn't listen to this.
She was
I don't
trying to
think
figure
so.
out if she did win the jelly bean thing.
She's
Yeah.
probably
She
calling
heard
like,
that.
yeah, hey, what's up with this eclipse thing? What do I do?
You're like, I got glasses
Yeah.
for you. You
You're
can
like,
wear 'em.
look into the mirror in the cereal box.
You got to get a mirror.
Yeah.
And you got to put it in a
First of
cereal
all.
box.
But I think Mario Kart is such a good game because most of the items they try to attack the person who's in first place.
Oh, for sure.
So I think if you are the best driver, just naturally you're going to be hit by the more.
I agree
things.
with that. However, well, we don't need to deep dive it, but I will say it's been really annoying.
Yeah.
But it was kind of fun.
So you're disappointed with your
I want to
choice?
play the game a lot, but it also, I know it's going to frustrate me. But
Yeah.
Mason had his first, he's playing 7-on-7 football
Oh,
in
yes.
the rec league. So we went down to Greenbrier on Saturday. It was windy. He's playing with a lot older kids. So it's like 11 to 14-year-olds, I think, maybe 15.
Oh wow, dude, that's a
he's
big
just
age
11.
range.
Is he 11? Yeah, he's just 11. And so,
That is a big age,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially for
pretty wild.
boys.
Yeah, because 15
there's
year
some
olds
big
like,
boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude
fast
driving
kids,
to his
too.
own.
But he got an
practice.
interception, which was awesome. So yeah, we had a good time. They lost
cool.
by 1 touchdown, but it was a really good game. So
that's fun.
yeah. Then we just kind of hung out, and I will throw a plug in. I watched the women's national championship basketball game
Oh, nice,
yesterday.
cool.
Very good, and congratulations, South Carolina, because they
Yes,
won the
South
national championship.
Carolina
But it was a
won.
really good game.
That's awesome.
So Doug, I'm sure you were catching up on that as
Oh
well.
yeah, man, I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Sports.
Sports.
The men's game is tonight. Yes. that'll be
At
fun.
9:20
Yeah.
is when they start.
I don't know if I can stay awake for that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch 10 minutes of it and be like, well, I'm going to go
gotta
to
go to
bed.
sleep.
Yeah, because this whole eclipse thing is just going to drain me today. I think.
Oh yeah, so many people are gonna be tired.
There's so
Like,
much
it's
mental
night
things
Right?
going into it.
I know,
Did
for
you do
real.
anything?
Well, we had some friends over for dinner on Friday night, and that was fun. And Saturday, I did chores and some message prep stuff, and Nate showed houses, and that was kind of our weekend.
Yay.
Yeah, it was a pretty boring weekend. Yeah,
all right, good.
not a whole lot of exciting things in the Carl house this weekend. All right. The Bible reading challenge, you guys. We're in Matthew 5 and 6 this week,
Yep,
which
Beatitudes.
is the Beatitudes, big part of the Sermon on the Mount. Anything stand out to you in this week's reading?
Yeah. So the Bible Project right now is going through the Beatitudes.
I know.
And it's a really good deep dive into each of them.
I'll have to check
And
that out.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great like additional resource if you're looking for like a way deeper understanding. Even like the very first one, like blessed are the poor in spirit. The way that Tim Mackey goes really in depth on that, like completely changed the way that I view even that like little segment of the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the last time I read through the Beatitudes, so I think it's just a good refresh. So I was reading that this morning. But what jumps out to me the most is I just love the idea, like Jesus is on the mount and he's like just teaching. And I just think like that would just been such a cool experience where I don't even know, like I would have loved to know what they were thinking in the moment. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, they knew who Jesus was, but they still didn't know
Yeah.
who Jesus was. So it was probably just like a normal day for them. And this guy's like teaching like good things.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, a fly on the wall, or there was no walls,
Maybe a wall
a
or two.
fly somewhere. But no, I don't know. I've been doing that a lot with these readings, is like trying to get back. I've said this before, but like put yourself into
Right.
that exact moment.
Just in the
Yeah.
environment, like
yeah.
sitting there listening.
And maybe the eclipse rolled in.
Oh, yeah.
And you never know. Was it April 8th?
Yeah.
No, it was just a really
Right.
good refresher. I enjoyed reading through those today and just
Yeah.
kind of seeing how it's connecting to life.
Yep.
Yeah,
So good.
I was listening to a pastor talk about the importance of the Beatitudes, and the way he does his like daily quiet time is he starts by reading the Beatitudes every single day. That's
good.
And he says, or I think he said, like the way he does it and why he does it is because it helps him to refocus his mind, and it reminds him, about the people in his own path that might be overlooked.
Yeah.
So it starts every single day with him like flipping his world upside down, saying, no, these are the people that experience the good life, the person who's poor, or the person who is, cast out by society, or the person who is in need, the person who's hungry. And it says it's such a different way of thinking about it. That's the person who experiences the good life, because that's the person that God is like welcoming into his community.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else tends to think, oh, that person is kind of outside of things, or they're kind of less than, how they view themselves. He says it's a really good refresher and to remind yourself of God's heart.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, that's such a good way of starting your day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is something I start doing in my own life too.
Thanks for Jesus joking me there.
No.
That's pretty awesome.
I don't do it either. This dude was saying though that
Yeah, well, you could have started with that too, but you don't feel like you did.
Yeah, I think it's such a good reminder though. It is.
Oh,
just-
Sam hasn't read them in a while? I know a guy who reads them every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that's probably a really cool idea to do.
Yeah, totally. And you can get through them in like just a few minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like a preparing your mind for what your regular reading could be that day.
Yeah. And chapter 6 also is that's where we find the Lord's Prayer. And coming off of Pray series, that's also a great, I loved reading that again today. And that's another great way to, sometimes we were talking about throughout that series, like sometimes you just don't know what to pray or how to pray. And that's a great passage to go to just in those first 15 moments when you feel at a loss, like go to that Matthew 6 passage and pray the Lord's Prayer. And that's a great way to start your day. That's
cool.
Oftentimes too.
Yeah, I love what Jamie said. I forgot what week it was, but he taught on the Lord's Prayer. And I think he said like the disciples, when they say, teach us how to pray, like they know how to pray because of their upbringing in the Jewish community, but they're saying, teach me how to pray like you pray.
Right.
And there's a level of like depth and intimacy in the way that Jesus prayed. And that's kind of what they were craving. And that was like really good. I remember when he said that, and that stayed with me. Like this idea, like I kind of know how to pray, but Jesus, teach me to pray like you do. And I think that's a really good
Well, it's
reminder.
funny because I wasn't on the podcast last couple of weeks, so I didn't get a chance to talk about the 24-hour of prayer. But I had a different experience than I've never had in 39 years in that moment in that room where I know we've talked about this and I know we've learned this, but the idea of like prayer, you don't have to be saying things, you just need to be like in the moment. And that extended like hour of not doing anything else. And I grabbed some music and put it in my ear, and being able to focus and not have to like say anything. But man, I heard from God in so many different ways in that hour. That was just like, okay, that was a really like, that's how I should be praying. That's how I should be praying. I don't need to wait for a 24 hours of prayer thing. Just like giving yourself time to listen. I know we know that, but when you really do it, man, it just shows up big time. So
That's cool. Yeah, it's almost like when Paul says pray without ceasing.
Yes.
Like maybe that's what he means.
Yeah.
Not like me talking for like 24
Right.
hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like that constant state of listening.
And that's how I'm
listen.
wired to like fill space. If it's quiet, it's like, ooh, I need to talk because this is making me feel uncomfortable. But man, when you're able to just go silent and just listen, that was really cool.
That's really cool.
It was a really good moment.
Yeah, that's a perfect lead-in
Oh,
to this week's topic in our newest series, Made for This. Doug, you brought us into week 2. I have on here week 3, but we're in week 2. And you talked about being made for rest, and you do such a great job on this topic. I know you've talked about it before, but I always look forward to hearing from you in this. And so we're coming off the weekend. We just talked a little bit about our weekend. So are you guys coming into Monday feeling good and rested?
Oh, no. It's funny that you say I do a good job with it because I feel like I'm so bad at it.
Really?
And I don't know. I think it's something that I desperately want in my life, but I still haven't figured it out by any means. I love like that one book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful book. And every time I read it, it's like, oh man, I so want this in my life.
Yeah.
But I find that it like eludes me so
I was going
often.
to say, it feels like this elusive thing that you're always going after.
It's this goal that I try to shoot for, and I'm always falling short, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe it's I want it so bad in my life, but I feel like I can't figure it out all the time. But maybe that's a good thing. I'm always striving for it possibly, but yeah, by no means am I completely rested.
Yeah.
Well, I think because it's like it's hard to get that continuous rest, right? Like I was just saying about the 24 hour, like I felt like when I was praying for that hour, like I was rested.
Yeah.
Because if you get out of the thing of the idea of like, it's not about the sleep thing, it's like moments with Jesus kind of thing for me. Like that's where I have the most rest. Like your brain stops racing. You're not thinking about what's for dinner. You're not thinking about decisions you're making. You're not thinking about, like even driving, you got to think about somewhat how you're driving and make sure you're being safe. So like the rest when you were speaking yesterday, that's those moments. I don't think I communicated that very well at the end of the worship thing, but it's like, those are the moments that I'm searching for. And I think that's just really tough in like your daily life to find that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can spend time, like quiet time in the morning. That's really great. Like that should be a rest. But I think like finding continuous moments that you can just hear from God, like that's where the challenge is for me. So
Yeah.
I think I could feel rested at some point today, and I could not feel rested at some point today. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's weird because like I completely feel that in my own life too. Where on Saturday, I usually practice my message Saturday night, like around 6 or 7, just to make sure it's like fresh in my mind. And I was doing some yard work Saturday morning, and for some reason, like right around noon, I started feeling like really anxious, like to the point where I had to like
the message.
No, and that's the
Okay,
thing. I was trying to figure out like where's this coming from? Like, is this because I'm nervous about Sunday, or is it just because I overexerted myself doing yard work, or maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe I didn't drink enough water, right? So I'm trying to understand like what my body is telling me, and I couldn't shake this feeling that just something wasn't right. So I had to lay down and take a little nap and just to try to figure things out. And when I woke up later and I was a bit more, I guess, rested from actual sleep, it felt better. But that moment where it's like, man, I feel so tense right now. I feel worried and anxious, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that kind of creeps up on me every once in a while.
I know
it's
you like
kind of crazy.
Like you like to run, and do you ever feel this kind of feels like it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But I would assume that when you're running and you've got music in or whatever you're doing, maybe not your screamo music, but like I would assume that's kind of moments where you feel kind of connect, like you're isolated, you're by yourself, you're running, but you're also just like, it focuses your mind on like two things, making sure you don't trip and fall. But I would assume you have like God moments in that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you feel like that could be a rest?
Yeah,
kind of
100%.
thing?
It's when I run, and usually in the mornings, I feel so good. It's like in my element, and it is because like there's nothing else that I have to think about. It's just running in a straight line, and then my brain just brings up all of these thoughts or worries, and it's in those moments. And I think that's the problem with distractions. If we distract ourselves, we tend to distract ourselves away from those moments of silence,
Right.
where I don't have to deal with these thoughts and I don't have to deal with these worries. But it's the place where God wants to do the most work.
Yeah.
So even like on Saturday when I was feeling really anxious, I was really trying to listen. Like I don't want to get rid of this feeling just so I can feel more comfortable. I want God to speak to me even in this place where I'm feeling like anxious and I don't know why. God, speak to me and show me how to rely on you.
Yeah.
And I didn't get an answer, but that's okay because like I think it was a really cool moment where I could trust maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never easy and it's never fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say it's not really like restful from the sense that we tend to think about it. Like I felt very restless.
Yeah.
But it's in that place where I think God can communicate the loudest maybe.
I know, Heather, you asked us the questions. I'm not trying to take over host.
No, it's fine.
But I think you and Nate do a great job of like those rest moments because I think of like your guys' sunroom.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to like share like around that, like how you guys have like made that a habit and made that like a moment, because I know we'll get texts from you guys at certain times and I just always know they must be in their sunroom, like just kind of having their quiet time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would say we just recently, the sunroom has like been our space. It's my space that I've gone to like in the mornings for years. Even prior to the house that we're in now, we had a sunroom in our previous house. And that's my early morning spot. Like I go there very early in the morning. That's my spot with Jesus. I have music on in there. I read my Bible in there. I talk to Jesus there. That's like my space. It's my space where I have like hard conversations with my kids that, you know, it's like the space that my kids ask for, like, can we have a sunroom chat? Like that's the space, you know?
That's when you're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Like I need sunroom time, you know, that kind of thing. And same thing for Nate. We just have like different schedules kind of in a little bit. And so that's his space too. Like he'll go in there and that's where he has his quiet time and that sort of thing. This retreat that we went on recently was kind of a thing where he and I had this opportunity to be like, we need to be more purposeful about having that time together. Like we've had that time together like throughout our marriage and stuff, but like just kind of refocusing that. And it's been so awesome to do that. And we've been very consistent with it since, kind of reframing that again. But yeah, just being really purposeful about starting our day together like that. And having like we're doing our Bible reading together and praying over our family together and our friends together. And it's been like we can see changes just in our communication and in that like restful space that we're feeling starting our day like that.
Yes.
So yeah,
and really it's the same thing you're saying. Like you just created time for Jesus speaking to it. And I mean that's where I feel like the rest. I don't think we need to answer any more questions. Like we did it all. Thanks, Doug, for your message. But it's just like creating that space.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's cool because like you shared in first service, and I think you shared second service too. That I think
maybe I blacked out. I don't know.
I think Emma had a nightmare or something, or was really scared the other night.
Yep.
And I was really thinking about
Saturday
that,
night.
and like that's cool, man. Thank you for sharing that. By the way, it's like that moment where the church can see like into our lives and see like, man, we're in the same place that you guys are at too.
Right.
And to me, it communicated so much. Like as a caring parent. Ransom had a very similar experience Saturday night as well, but his was a stomach ache. And I was like, man, I want him to go to sleep, not so I can get sleep, but so that he can get rest as well. But deeper than that, I want him to know that I care about him no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the true sense of rest. That even if I stay up all night, I have somebody who cares about me, and I can spend time with them. I can be close to them. So if my kids wake up with a nightmare, it's like I want them to know they can come to me and talk about it, and
really
not
good.
and not feel like it's interrupting some kind of like physical rest. That the spiritual rest happens when we have those close connections and close relationships.
I really hope my wife doesn't listen to this podcast today. 'Cause she's like, see, why didn't she respond like Doug did? Because the first couple times I was like, all right, it's fine. And then she came again. I was like, you're going to stay in your bed or else.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things. It's like, no, they just, that she wanted to find, like, she finds comfort when she came in there for us, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, seeing that, it's what you're saying. It's the same thing as, like, that's what we're doing when we come to try to spend time with Jesus, is, like, seeking that comfort. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling scared or fear. Yeah, it's really good.
And that goes to, like, the quote that you shared from John Walton about, like, how God becomes active in his creation because he's all about the relationship. And so the rest, he's actually active. The rest is an active thing. Like when we think about rest in our context or in our culture, it almost has this negative connotation that it's lazy or, you know, that sort of thing. So when we think about it, we're like, well, we can't be but so restful because then we're like being lazy. We're not getting our work done. We're not accomplishing things. You know, I did yard work. Is it really okay that I like take a nap?
Yeah.
I mean, because if I go take a nap, surely it's Saturday. I have other things to get done today, right? Like should I really stop and do this thing, take a nap and like listen to what my body's telling me? Like that's not culturally like really acceptable. But we get this idea from scripture that like even in his rest, God was actively participating in his creation because he's concerned about his relationship with his creation. So that's such a different picture.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole idea of this series, right? Is that what God originally intended is very different than what we see play out in our culture. So how does that, like, how should that flip how we interpret the rest in our relationships, even with like what you guys are saying, like with one another? Like how can we find rest in our relationships with each other?
Yeah, so I love that idea. I think we use busyness almost like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever, somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, how you been doing? For me, a lot of times I'll respond, oh man, so busy. Super busy. Especially around Easter season, right? Like for us, ministry-wise, we were very busy. And it's almost like I say that as a way of showing this other person, I'm doing a lot of work. How have you been doing?
Yeah.
Oh, very busy because I feel like I've done a lot of cool things and I want you to know about them. And sometimes we can say that almost like a level of pride, like yard work. I mowed my grass the other day because I wanted my neighbor to look at my yard and say like, his yard looks really nice.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be in a place where my neighbors are like, oh, does this guy even care about his grass or about making his yard look nice? I don't mow it because I enjoy it. I mow it because I want to keep up the image of this like house that is well put together. And I think that's that work that leads to like all kinds of comparisons and busyness for the wrong reasons. I think we can be busy like towards things that matter, like busy towards relationships and busy towards helping others. Like Paul, he seems like a guy that was very busy. He was always going out on missionary trips and he was working so that he can fund what he was doing. He's making tents so that he can continue to like teach people about Jesus. He's a dude who seemed very busy and very hurried, but it was done purposefully and almost like for the right reasons. It never really seemed like there was a comparison or like a pride element. So it's definitely not a sense of laziness, but like rest in relationships. It shows us that we can work really hard. Jamie's talking about that next week. We can work really, really hard and be very purposeful and be busy for the right reasons, as long as we're resting in who Jesus says we are. So like when I work, it's not about comparing myself to others. It's not about trying to accomplish anything or trying to accumulate all these things that I think that I need. Instead, it's trying to bring glory to God And
Yeah.
when somebody says, how have you been doing? Like, instead of saying, oh, I've been so busy, what if I said like, oh, God is so good, right? And that might be like a Jesus juke in that, right? But just a sense where like it's a different purpose and it's a
Right.
different focus,
Yeah.
which connects well to the working for God as well.
Yeah, I thought you did a good job of separating the two, but it still is confusing to me just because that's the way we've used the word rest for so long.
Yeah.
So like thinking of rest as active. It's okay to go sleep, like you said that you have to
Yeah,
sleep, you have to
you
get
have
some,
to.
you have to do that. But if you just say like I'm gonna go rest, like you get taken out of a game, it's to rest. Like you need to take a rest. So you think, okay, I need to sit here and catch my breath and do that. But like flipping that definition of being like, okay, I'm gonna go rest with Jesus. Well, that doesn't mean I'm just gonna go fall asleep. That means I'm gonna like actively spend time hearing from God,
Yeah.
hearing from the Holy Spirit. Like, what is He calling you to? What are you doing in that? It shouldn't be. You actually should come out of that like not exhausted out of that period of resting with Jesus, but you should come out like, okay, I like just did something. I didn't just like fall asleep. So for me, like I'm speaking to me personally, like I have to break that definition of what I think rest is.
That's good.
But that's going to take time because I already asked it this morning. I was like, I don't know. It seems like I need to go sleep. No, you just fall back into it so fast. So
Yeah.
you got
Yeah,
to
that's
preach
good.
that message every week.
Have you Dietrich Bonhoeffer was talking about this. He wrote a book about the importance of community. And in the book he was talking about how community is important, but also how our times of isolation are important as well.
Yeah.
And he was saying that our times of isolation should bring blessing to our times of community. So the time where I'm by myself, just me and God, that should enrich me in such a way that when I re-enter into community, it's a blessing to the community I'm stepping into.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, oh no, like I don't know if my times of aloneness bring blessing because I think I waste so much of my alone time. It might stress me out or make me more anxious or just like leave me feeling defeated. So when I step back into community, do people notice a change in me?
That's interesting.
And I was like, oh man, like we need both. And you see
Yeah.
Jesus doing that in the passage in Matthew. He steps away from doing the miracle and he spends time to pray so that when he steps back into community, it's a huge blessing and he's able to do more miracles and prepare himself for the importance of being with others.
Yeah, what you're saying reminds me. I don't know where this quote came from, but we've said it for years and years and years here. It was like when we're in His presence, how could we leave the same?
Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that doesn't just mean when there's 1,000 people in a room we just sing together. It can, but like that's what when you're saying that,
Yeah.
that's what I think of that. It's like the reason that He's saying you should be gaining things, you should be picking up things from the Holy Spirit in your quiet time so that it blesses the community. Like you shouldn't just like, okay, He told me that I'm going to be quiet about. Like, no, you bring that back to the community because when you were in His presence, which is what rest is, you can't leave the same.
Yeah, you're a
that's
changed
good.
person.
That's great.
And when
man.
you leave, you're more willing to love because
Yeah.
you've just been meditating on God's love for you.
Right.
And you're more willing to forgive and show kindness and
Yeah.
and work really hard. Like I remember coming back from missions trips feeling utterly exhausted,
Yeah.
but feeling so enriched because the personal time with God was so powerful
Yeah.
and the community time was powerful. And it was this really cool cycle of like spending time alone and spending time with people. And it's cyclical and it just builds and builds and builds. And you get home and you're very tired, but you're so
But
very
you're ready.
spiritually alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way that it feels to be busy for the right reasons, I guess you could say, which is maybe like a totally different
I miss
message.
mission trips.
Oh man, we got to go back,
Get
right?
going, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Doug, you said that the idea was to take a day out of your week and completely dedicate yourself to God. It was a way of helping them remember what God had done for them, but also give them permission to slow down. So I've heard it said, and you probably have too, that this principle is much like the tithing principle.
Oh yeah.
So have you seen that truth play out in your own lives when it comes to rest? Like we're able to kind of that whole 90-10, like what we can do with 90%, God kind of makes up with that 10%.
Yeah.
So I just would love to hear that. Have you guys seen that when you actually kind of like practice this Sabbath principle, that God multiplies that 10% more than you could possibly do?
It's so true because we talked about the 24 hours. I did an hour and it might only have been like 50 some minutes because I think by that time I was like, okay, and it was so great. Like it was so good. I brought so many things out of that, but I was also like, oh, okay, thank goodness that like I made it an hour. Good job, Sam.
Yeah.
Like it's so ridiculous because it's like, if you experience something so great, why wouldn't you do it all the time? But like me personally, my brain just doesn't, that's just not how I'm wired. Like we have to go out and work, right? We have to go out and and be part of the community, what you're saying, that kind of thing. So that's when you said that principle. It's exactly what I thought was that hour of prayer felt so good, but I was also like, okay, I got to get out and do something now. But how much he can do in that hour is so amazing, because then it carried me through even today. I mean, it's still carrying me through today about things. So it's good.
Yeah, I think it's just like building levels of trust.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me that I am not in control. So like if our Sabbath is usually on Friday because it's the day off leading up to the weekend, and I think we're usually so busy on Sunday, it's hard to rest in that sense. So for me, it's a Friday, and it shows me and reminds me that the world doesn't revolve around me. If there's an issue or a problem, it can probably wait a few days. I'm finally listening. But like if there's a problem, it can wait, and God's in control, and I don't have to answer every email. I don't have to be present in all the ways that I am, like Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday. I can disconnect, and that's good. And I think it's that level of trust that carries me into the work week as well. Yeah. So if I can rest really well on my Sabbath, then I'll learn how to rest Monday through or Sunday through Thursday and rely on God, not just in this one day, but it's a reminder in a sense that He is in control, He is God, and He wants to draw close to me. And that's really, really encouraging.
Yeah. So what are some practical ways that we can begin to build some rhythms of rest into our schedules? I mean, I talked about it a little bit for me, but some times and locations that you guys spend with Jesus, like what are some of your rhythms? Like when and where do you spend your time with Jesus?
Yeah, so I'm a creature of habit. So I have my Bible that I read and my journal that I try to write in, and I have like a space. And this is the weird part. Like I say I'm a creature of habit, but my space has changed. Like some days it is while I'm running and I'm listening to the Bible app, reading through whatever chapter we're on. And that's funny because it'll keep reading, like depending on how long I run. So I'll read or I'll listen to Matthew 5 and 6. And when I'm done, it'll be like Matthew 8.
You're listening to scripture being read while you run?
Oh yeah. And dude,
you're a maniac.
No, it's amazing because it's usually pretty soothing. And it's a way of just, it's hard to remember everything, but as you're like hitting different places in the run, certain things jump out at you. And if you do it over and over again, so like tomorrow you listen to whatever part you're on in the reading plan, but you're repeating things that you've already listened to because it keeps going.
Yeah.
So it's just repetition, and the things stick with you. And for some reason, like hearing somebody read it to me, I don't know, it's almost like it resonates more.
Yeah.
It's almost like the way the Bible is meant to be read. I heard that the other day. A guy wrote a book. The Bible was meant to be listened to, not necessarily read, because it was written in these letters. And when we listen to somebody read it to us, it resonates in a way of our humanity.
And it was shared, like that's how it was read to people. Like that's how it was shared originally. So
it would have been read at length, like read Paul's whole letter. Can you imagine somebody reading Romans every time you meet together? Like, oh, this is so long and complicated. But that's the way it would have been done, and like read long parts of scripture and over and over and over, so it becomes a part of who you are. Like you remember these stories. Because I just read the Beatitudes every single day for a long time.
Apparently.
Obviously.
Who doesn't do that?
Like all Christians should do.
No, I think that repetition is important. We've finally figured out something that we're similar in, because that's pretty much the only way is listening with someone reading it to you.
Oh, that's cool.
I love that. It's like any of those books. You guys know I buy the Audible.
Audible.
Like I buy those all the time because it's just, I don't know, there's something about it. Maybe because it's faster and I'm a slow reader. I don't know, maybe those things. But for me, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I need to be moving around. But once I put on headphones or whatever and I'm listening, like that's my time. I can zone out everything else, and I can move around if it's walking around the house, if it's walking down the street, if it's at the gym, like it's at the grocery store. Like it literally doesn't matter. Like if I'm in that, like I can hear, like I don't know why, but that's like big time quiet. Cause if I'm sitting, I can do like 15, 20 minutes in the morning. I'll do my 15 and like read. But after that, I just get so distracted so fast. And so just trying to find what works with you. That's okay. That's how God wired you. That's how he made you. So just try a bunch of different things and figure out what works best for you to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Find what works for you. Yeah. Like I'm going to try to run when I get home today because I was lazy this morning.
Yeah,
I slept in. I was very tired.
You're going to run during the eclipse.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm going to be running in darkness. This is going to be great. And listening to Matthew 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's going to be really exciting.
It's not going to be that long of a run.
How
What, the eclipse?
I mean, it's 2 chapters, bro.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It keeps going though.
Okay,
Keeps
Like
going.
it'll probably
okay.
read through
Just
like I
keep
don't know,
going, yeah.
like 7 or 8.
You'd probably be in
Yeah.
Revelation before
yeah.
your run's over.
So when I do it tomorrow, I'll kind of repeat where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
you
good.
hear the same thing almost every day of that week. It's great.
It's awesome.
So how do you guys do with removing distractions?
Oh, I'm very bad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there are there any things that you've like done to help you be better at it?
Well, like I said, I mean, I need to be by myself. Like I'd have to find some way to be by myself. So if that's like hiding from my kids, or like going, like I said, like going to the gym or going just out to run errands or whatever, or even like sitting in the car for a little bit and listening. Like I have to find isolation in that, because if not, just I know that I'm going to be distracted. It's just going to happen. Even as dumb as like put the dogs outside, because if they're walking around and running around or coming up and want to get pet, like there's just so many ways to be distracted. Put your phone away. That's probably
Yeah.
a really, really bad habit for me, is like just, I mean, I got my phone right here right now, like just setting it down, like just, it's got to be far enough away that I'm not hearing it buzz. I don't know what's going on with notifications, and just giving that time solely to that, that rest and thing. So I have to eliminate, I don't know what the original question was, but I have to eliminate distractions that way.
Just like what are some
how
of
to
your
do that?
distractions? How do you deal with eliminating them?
So if you talk to somebody who runs like long distances, and I've heard this from people, so I assume this is right. They say the first
I
mile.
try not to talk to those kind of
I
people.
know, right?
I'm just kidding, everybody. We love runners.
Probably so many of these people listening right now.
Yeah.
They say like that first mile is really tough, and maybe it's like depending on how long you run, the first couple miles, it's the time that your body is getting back into the rhythm of running. And like if I were to run like multiple miles, that first mile makes me want to give up every single time.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really hard. But something happens when you get past that wall and your body is in the rhythm of it and it kind of gets used to it. You can keep running and it's much easier. And I think this is the same thing. If you can get past that initial, I need to train my brain to quiet itself. That first 15 minutes is going to be really tough. Or even that first 30 minutes where you're going to be distracted by all the things in life. Like I have work today, I have responsibilities, I have things I got to worry about. I got that email I need to send.
Yep.
What's happening on TikTok? Like whatever.
My stomach will start growling. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry now all of a sudden. I need one more cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I think if you can get past that initial, my brain is settling into rest mode, the rest of it is much easier.
Yeah.
So that's for me. Like my quiet time has to be more than just like the initial 15 minutes, because that's how long it takes my brain to quiet itself. And if I can keep moving past that, the rest of it's so enriching and so powerful.
Yeah.
I think that's why like the hour of prayer was so powerful. It's an entire hour.
Yeah.
So the first 15 minutes, it's like, okay, I need to find
Well, it was
rest.
uninterrupted too.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing, is like, it's not even saying that I haven't spent an hour with Jesus, but it's definitely been like, well, there's 15. Oh, let me go do that. Or let me go do that and come back.
Yeah.
But an hour just like there, it was so much more powerful.
So much more powerful,
Yeah.
right? And I think for me, like it's so hard to find that much time, but when I have that much more time, it's so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Because it takes
Yeah.
my brain a long time to get
Yeah.
ready to listen.
And isn't that so funny? Because like we would never do that to somebody here. Like if you went out to lunch with somebody, you wouldn't like sit there for 15 minutes and then go walk somewhere.
Yeah.
Go
Right.
figure out something else to do, then come back and continue your conversation.
Right.
Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I would have already left. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess this guy's done.
Well,
Like, so why we need to do that? We don't need to do that with Jesus either.
have you ever like went out to eat with somebody though, and the first like part of the conversation was awkward or weird?
Right.
You have to break the ice,
Yes,
right?
for
and
sure.
then once you get into it, you're like laughing like best buds.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's like the icebreaker. You have
Yeah.
to break the ice with God almost.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah, and then get
Yeah.
into that
Like,
like
we're having a great eclipse day. It was awesome.
total eclipse
I
of the
think
heart.
it's like really good too. If what we're trying to do here is get into like practicing a rhythm of rest, like that's one thing, is to like give yourself grace and
Oh, for sure.
like but like work toward building that rhythm. So one pastor that I have listened to and followed for years, one of the things that he started doing was to build that rhythm into his life. He would take a break from all social media stuff, 1 day a week, 1 week a month, and 1 month a year.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of how he started to like get into that rhythm. So for us, it would be like to not be on social media on Friday, And then just for a week of the month, you just set aside like the last week of the month, not on social media. And then 1 month a year, like in January.
Yeah.
That's like, the year that, or the month that everyone's doing their New Year's resolutions. So that's just the rhythm that he like started doing. And I followed that for a while and, then kind of got off track with that and stuff. But that would be something that I would recommend. Like if this is something that you're wanting to try and start building in a rhythm of rest, that would be something that you could start to like eliminate those distractions. Like that's a great way, because I think our phones, like you were saying, is one of those things. You mentioned it on Sunday, even during your message. Like that's the thing that kind of we just get sucked into and we waste so much time on and we don't even realize it.
I think our culture now, like,
one thing.
Like it's definitely that struggle that I think everybody faces. It's like an addiction that we all have, our screen time. And it's weird for me, like for me it's video games. If I'm not playing a video game, I'm reading about them or finding out what game's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Like to the amount, like you guys have this amazing knowledge of sports ball and all that.
Yeah.
Like I have that in the video game world. You can ask me about anything and I probably have heard or read something about it. So for me to disconnect in that sense, and it might sound crazy, but like to give myself 1 week where I'm not checking out like YouTube videos on whatever video game I'm interested in or it's coming out soon, to disconnect from that whole world to remind me like, this is fun, it's a cool hobby, but it doesn't necessarily matter to the same level of these other things.
Yeah.
I think that could be really helpful.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sports do matter.
All right. Well, that's all we've got time for today. We hope that you will join us this Sunday as we talk about work and that we were made for work. Yeah. So we hope that you'll join us on campus at 9 or 10:45, and you can always join us at 1 o'clock on our YouTube channel. Thanks for being here, friends. Go and be love.
Happy Eclipse Day.